I just want to start by saying that I'm just really, really proud of you. There's something about you that has just allowed you to become much more authentic, maybe more um, visible in the world of as who you are. So just want to say that I'm very proud of you for that. And I think also your, spiritual team is also very proud of you. So let's see. Ooh, see, it literally flipped out. The sense of courage. So, really acknowledging that the courage that you have been showing in being more of yourself and showing up more authentically, maybe showing up more in general. Um, yeah, that you have been standing on your beliefs and your values, and that's something to really celebrate. So, I don't feel this as much like an encouragement that you haven't been courageous and you're being called to more courage. It's more of an acknowledgement that you're being courageous and that you are being celebrated for that. And of course, encouragement to do that even more, especially and be more bold as yourself as you see fit, right? Oh, getting my cords in the way there. What else? And this too, that sense of like creative writing. And what's interesting is like as I was shuffling before I started, I pulled one of the cards about books. So learning, knowledge, wisdom, but I also had this sense of like, what if it also means writing a book? So maybe sharing your learning, your knowledge, and your wisdom, and that perhaps doing some writing could really help. I know this has come up before, but like maybe you haven't started yet, that sense of writing. And I know, at least for my own self, I can sometimes have this feeling that when I'm just sitting there, I don't know what I want to say, right? But if someone were to ask me a question, then like it helps to draw it out, but it can feel difficult to maybe just stare at a blank page and be like, well, what are the things I want to share? And so maybe this also is an encouragement of asking your own questions to yourself, perhaps. Maybe like writing out the questions instead of having to start with a blank page, maybe writing questions or use the tools that are available to us now. Maybe ask a coach to help you pull out your story if you need another person, or even use ChatGPT and say, hey, be a coach that's helping me tell my story, be a storytelling coach and ask me questions, um, or something like that, right? Where you get some engagement. So, like, if you've been seeing that prompt around creative writing and you do feel that you have a story to tell, there are ways that can support you. So, your story, your wisdom, your learning wants to be shared, as in being invited to be shared. What else about uh, for this particular collective, for the highest good of all? Mm. It says spiritual law of attraction. Mm. So maybe in that vein, there's an invitation to do that which would help you be receptive to the ideas. Because, for example, if we're sitting there and we're telling ourselves, I just don't have the ideas, this feels really hard, then we're going to be reinforcing that. And that's going to be more of the same occurring. But if we maybe open up that possibility of, if I do want to write or create something, especially with this newfound sense of courage and boldness, um, like how could I open the door to receiving those insights and allowing that wisdom to bubble up so that you can share and put it into words? Um, and so that could look like, right, that sense of leaning on support to help you bring out your story. It could also maybe be challenging some of those thoughts around when you're thinking that you don't have any ideas. You could always just say, like, well, I don't have any ideas in this moment. I don't have ideas yet. You can begin to turn that narrative, right? Might not have ideas in this moment right now, but there's always the next, right? So you don't have to go like 180 if you don't want to and just start telling yourself, I just have all the ideas and blah, 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 if that doesn't feel right. But you can begin to turn that narrative that opens the door for the ideas to come through. Is there anything else from this one? Nurture yourself. I think there's something here too about sharing your story can be, or in your wisdom and your insights can be really vulnerable. And maybe for some of us who have more sensitive nervous systems or just have experienced a lot of rejection, things like that, like being vulnerable can be scary. It can create a threat response in your body. And so the sense of the nurturing yourself also for me pulls up this idea of allowing yourself to do it gently. Like, this video does not have to be the message for like your next big giant project that you're supposed to put all of your time into. This could be an encouragement for a project that you create over time in a way that's nurturing of yourself and your nervous system. And maybe start off by doing it for you specifically. Like, you telling your story is so that you can have ownership over your own narrative. And so you can look at it as a personal project, like for yourself, like maybe allow it to start there. So you're not sitting there thinking about how other people are going to be perceiving it, but you're starting off with like, hey, this is just things I need to say about my own story so that it's mine. And I get to be the one that interprets it, and I get to be the one that reclaims it and owns it, and then transmutes even maybe aspects of it that have been really painful or difficult. What else? And I think too that sense at the beginning about celebrating your courageousness, like now may be the time. What? Ooh. So this next one is the card that says energy rising. And it says vitality, confidence, power, decisiveness. Just like look at that, the artwork for a second. That's a lot of power. But it doesn't look effortful by the person, right? It just is. And I think you are leaning more and more into that. That you are powerful, you are confident, you have vitality and decisiveness. And also it's, it doesn't really say this, but there's a sort of rippling effect of the light. And so it's that element of like, as you are doing this and you continue to do this, which means showing up more authentically, facing your fears, that it gets greater because you're also giving your mind, your nervous system evidence that it's okay and you're going to survive it. And not only survive it, but you'll enjoy it. Oh, okay. We have two more from this deck. We have Not Forgotten, which also says Messages from Spirit, Unbroken Connection. So, if you've been going through some things, like many of us have, then know that you have not been forgotten. That there are so many supporting you, maybe loved ones that have passed on, your team, spiritual team, probably particularly that sense of someone you knew who's no longer in this physical realm. There's a sense that you're not forgotten by them, and they're still supporting you in different ways. And also, nothing is impossible. Open to the unexpected, you'll find a way. You'll find a way. I think that as you have been being yourself more authentically and boldly, you're also recognizing that you're very different, and that can bring up all that messaging around how, people project out that being different, doing things a different way isn't going to succeed. And so they put all those messages out on you, and you've probably internalized that over a lifetime, and may have been why it has come up until now for you to be more authentically yourself, right? Because you tried the other way. But as you sort of relax into you, there's this sense that you really see that you're different. And now you're celebrating that, you're accepting that on a deep level. You feel such respect and compassion for yourself. And you may still be letting go of some of those messages that about how the difference is the problem. And this card is really saying, like, you'll find a way, as in, you'll find a way that is authentic to you, your strengths, your vision of what you want to create in the world. And also, like, that is going to be different. You'll find a way that's different than maybe what has been told to you that you should be and you should do, or that that's the only way to do it. And I know too that, like, it's kind of like, it can sound simple to say, like, oh yeah, of course you can do it. There's not just one way. But I really like invite you to see that there is a whole sphere that encompasses all those messages that have been saying you have to do it this way. It might look different for different folks, or there might be different ways of doing it, but you might truly be over here in a whole other sphere. And you will find a way, right? And I think that it takes that courage to show up to whatever that authentically will be, and also to sort of experiment and test out and try things that maybe you didn't because people told you that wasn't going to go anywhere. Well, how about you figure that out? How about you explore that and see what would happen for you? I think when people say that, they're giving the message that for them it wouldn't have worked out, or they're just passing on messages from somebody else who told them that. But I think this time and now is the time for you to figure out for yourself. Um, and like, if it fails, it fails, but nothing is ever a failure if you don't give up. And that can also mean taking a lesson and pivoting if you need to. Um, but the giving up is the not giving up on yourself, right? It can look different depending on what you do and what you explore, but you're not giving up on you. So that is the invitation for today. Thank you for joining me here. I'm Jenny Lee, Divergent Mystic, and I always only read for the present energy. I'm not talking about future things. These are all invitations from the energy that is alive in this moment, right? Because you have the choice on where you want to go from here. And if these insights help you in having clarity or encouragement or invitations to be more yourself, that's the point. And it's fun. So I will see you back here again soon.